Timberland. Tim,
Hey, brother.
what's up, bro?
I'm blessed.
How you doing?
I'm blessed.
You know what, bro? When you come on the show and I have someone as distinguished as yourself, I got to toast your career and more things to come. Appreciate you.
That's what great art is polarizing. Some people love it. You know, it forces you to have an opinion. Like, you know, at least you're not like wishy-washy about it. You know, it forces you to have an opinion. Which
They say in hip-hop's glass towers, power is just danger dressed in designer suits. And right now, three names echo louder than any hook: Drake, Diddy, and Jay-Z. It's a triangle of ambition no one dared map, a mogul with a chessboard, a hustler turned kingmaker, and a one-time understudy who refused to stay anyone's side act. Each has tasted wealth, fame, and leverage beyond imagination. But when those hungers collide behind velvet ropes and closed boardroom doors, the fallout looks less like rap beef and more like a shadow war shaping the business itself. Jay has long worn the grin of a strategist fight.
He was upset. He was upset on that record. Somebody pissed him off that day.
But it was just the conversations me and Jay have. He's so like intrigued by where my life is at because it's almost like he's seeing it happen again for somebody else. So he was like, I'm just gonna tell you all I've learned, you know, and it was like a beautiful moment. I've really never heard Jay get that.
I plays ahead, flipping enemies into partners and rivals into footnotes. Diddy, ever the operator, built legend out of excess, spinning parties into profits and lawsuits into ladders. And then comes Drake, Toronto's prince who outgrew the punchline and flipped it back on the world, a man whose mansion hides secret passages but whose real raids are happening in the boardroom. Old jabs over Grammys, lobster plates, and even a nightclub punch were only rehearsal for the deeper fracture. The spark, insiders whisper, wasn't public. It was brunch. Not just brunch, but the billionaire stack gathering at Rock Nation's mansion in 2020, where Instagram smiles masked a quiet deal meant to keep old hands in control. To Diddy and Jay, Drake wasn't a peer. He was an asset to be managed. But they misread him. The coded smiles hardened into veiled warnings. The collab slowed, and Drake's responses sharpened in bars and carefully placed social moves. One missing verse, one ignored invite, one cryptic line at a Raptors game, all signals a man refusing to be contained. Diddy tried fists once in Miami. Jay tried silence, but Drake began moving like someone with leverage they couldn't predict. Whispers now swirl about the so-called archive, blackmail files, recordings, DMs, after-party footage. No proof. No.
I know you and Jay are cool, but it still has to be a little competitive when you go and lay in your verse and him going and laying his verse, because I know you trying to eat him up, you trying to eat you up.
Yeah.
Now, when you listen to his verse, you be like, woo, he's going in, or same thing with Jeezy's verse or Wayne's verse.
Yeah, usually when it's your album, you gotta do your verse first. It's kind of like rare that someone will send you a song and be like, get on my album.
Did you ever want to do your verse over and be like, you know what?
You know what, actually, my verse was way harder on Light Up.
That her public face of empowerment and unity doesn't extend to anyone threatening her fam's
Some
door book
dismiss it
image.
as smoke.
Multiple
Others
music
see it as
veterans
a nuclear
insist they've
button,
seen
a vault that
NDAS
could
float
torch
through the air like
reputations
confetti
if
at a
ever
Rock
opened.
Nation brunch,
And
all
with
with
Diddy
the same
facing
intent.
legal fire,
Silence first,
nerves run
ask
tighter.
questions, never.
Silence grows heavier,
Premier's dispatch
and every
leaked,
verse
teased
feels like
without
a warning
outright name
shot.
that Beyonce's
Jay
power
floats
reaches
above
further
with
than
cryptic
anyone
bars.
dares admit.
Diddy's
That the
circle
world-famous
thins,
couple is a full
and Drake
partnership,
glides like a
on
man
stage and
holding
off, comes
shovels
to
for
managing the
graves
fallout
already
from
dug.
Jay-Z's private
To the
escapades.
public,
Oya,
it's
or
hugs on
just good
stage and
business
nodded
sense.
awards.
The silence
But
from their
behind the
camp. Now,
curtain,
just
thread
as
of
the world was
respect
bracing for
phrased
yet
in by
another
the
round
week.
of he said,
One leak,
Rhymier lands a
one
final
misstep,
punch. This saga
one
is
clip
just about
dropped at the
him.
wrong hour
He's
could
painting
flip
a
the whole
portrait of a
empire on
pattern,
its head.
not a one-off.
The
Enter
old rule that
Little
rises
Testament
to
Towers.
cool by
The
mutual
Maryland
is
woman
just
spent
dangerous
years
like
insisting
business.
Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
Work anymore. And right now, there are too many louder than any hook. Too many lawsuits, Diddy, and too much money locked up in streaming contracts. It's a triangle of ambition no one dared map. The old guard thought NDAs and loyalty would keep everything quiet. And a one-time happens when the so-called porn turns out to be the one holding the ledger of every move. Each has tasted wealth, one grinning exec even admitted they underestimated the kid from Degrassi. But when those hungers never realizing he had the sharpest memory boardroom doors, what was once gossip has turned into hard and more like a shadow. Diddy's trial detonated across every clique. Jay has not only worn the accusation, but for what they revealed about the true cost of flipping enemies into partners and rivals into footnotes. For the first time, Diddy, Jay-Z, ever the operator, name dragged built legend out of excess, pull him closer to scandal in his ever-let him lawsuits into ladders. Once he and then comes Drake. Toronto's Prince outgrew the punchline and aligned when the stack of the world. But now survival mansion hides and nobody wants to be left carrying raids are happening in the boardroom. Old jabs over Grammys, every bar, plates, every even a nightclub punch, every sudden rehearsal is part of a coded game only the insiders understand. Insiders whisper, encrypted drives and hidden back. It was more than whispers.
Yeah, Meek is a dope rapper, but I think sometimes Meek falls victim to I have to explain myself because they be playing with my name. Yeah. And the more he responds, the more they keep playing with his
Diddy and Jay screw and a machine about to snap. He was an asset isn't just whether the files exist, but they misread But why Drake hasn't played the smiles hardened into veiled what Diddy and Jay-Z are willing to do to make sure it never sees daylight. And Drake's response is sharpened in the champagne and sparkle did his legendary white party. One missing verse. The whispers painted one ignored invite. One cryptic celebration, but carefully staged all signals of man refusing to be contained. Velvet rope funnels designed Diddy to tried fists once in Miami. And Jay tried allies into orbit. But Drake began moving like someone with levers they couldn't predict. Justin Bieber, whispers now swirl about the so-called archive. And Jay-Z always circling nearby, recordings. But behind the curtain, those nights were about sealing power and testing loyalty. No receipt. Former PR nervous hush when security staff now tell authorities. Some dismiss it as smoke. Like harmless others see it as a nuclear button, where wink into the VIP reputation anything from opportunity to and with Diddy facing legal fire, with the FBI digging into Diddy's empire. Silence grows heavier, and every verse like summer fun and more like a carefully engineered Jay floats above with and Jay-Z's role as both ally and benefactor is now and Drake glides like a man holding shovels for graves. Lawyers note that for the first time is being asked not about hugs on stage and what he may have seen. But yet behind the charges of respect phrased insiders whisper that the worst evidence hasn't surfaced. One misstep, it sits buried in drives or the wrong hour could flip the whole empire on its head. A-listers are quietly asking attorneys if they need to put distance between them.
Nothing to do with Wendy's career. Moreover, that were made in front of Wendy Williams. If true, that is outrageous because this judge, one, she's not in the entertainment industry, so I don't know where she would get off opining about that and why that's even relevant to her role as a judge, who's basically the judge of the law, and in this case, judge of the facts.
Selves and old friends. And then there's Drake. In the beginning, he was the outsider at these parties, the Canadian star proving he could keep pace with titans. But as his own empire grew, his attendance dwindled, and by 2014 he cut himself from circuit. Associates say it wasn't accident. He knew when to vanish, when to watch from the margins, when silence was safer than presence. And nowhere does that caution feel sharper than in the story of the missing Miami footage. December 2014, DJ Khaled's birthday at Club Live, Diddy and Drake face off over the 0 to 100 beat. Voices rise, bodies clash, a slap or maybe a punch depending on who you believe. Drake shaken, Diddy furious. The headlines soften it into a misunderstanding. But the real question isn't the fight, it's the vanishing tape. Live, one of Miami's most surveilled venues, had cameras everywhere, the kind of system that leaves no angle unseen. Yet the footage never surfaced. Months turned into years, whispers into legends, and the silence around that missing file has grown louder than the scuffle itself. The Oma lives that glass house by tower is just danger dresses doesn't work anymore. And right now, there are too many scrap and deliberate too many lawsuits. Diddy leaning too much money telling Drake to try and ambition no one dares. That no stars, the old gods for NDAs, old gods still king quiet. And whether the what happened by handshake to stay anyone's side, quiet favors, each has tasted well. One grinning absence became legend. They underestimated kind of missing real when those hungers never realized Velvet's sharpest memory master codes.
That's what great art is polarizing. Some people love it. You know, it forces you to have an opinion. Like, you know, at least you're not like wishy-washy about it. You know, it forces you to have an opinion, which is good, and I think it's needed.
What was Clubhouse looks less like rap beef and more like a shadow Diddy's trial to this day promoters talk about it like not only the accusation, it doesn't just mean enemies and partners, it detonates the whole triangle. For the first time, Diddy, because whatever the operator that night built legend out of excess. It was about spinning scandal across what happened to anyone daring to sidestep. Once he and then come Drake. Diddy's trial always always aligned with the back and pull close. But now survival collide. The atmosphere of real raids are happening in the board. Business partners, old jabs over Grammys, white every bar, every even a nightclub, the FBI stacks top.
They did. It was a time where it was like, please let this guy go away. So, you know, that's just the nature of rap. It's competitive, and you know, every time you go out there, you putting your career on the line.
Out of a coded game on the inside, Hampton like writing encrypted drives against that background. Drake's just countdown has already billionaire stack gathering until the truth cracks encrypted drives every hand where Instagram smiles like quiet deal. Every stage old hand photo is just theater. One theory after Miami Drake was started recording. He was questioning his every files, but they missed every why Drake has every attempt to rope him into a what Diddy and Jay-Z with collabs. Maybe never in Drake's response is sharpening the maybe the cambridge itself did not legendary white one missing, but as a whisper painted one ignored that he might act one just celebration carefully staged also every slide lyric velvet every Instagram Diddy tried every sudden silence now reads Jay tried allies into orbit but Drake headline like someone with lockbox on Justin Bieber whispers now world where liars evaporate and Jay-Z always circled to rival for recording but behind the curtain those nights were about sealing his brand of insurance and collapse no receipt former PR nervous hush when in circle around the edge now tell some celebrities look like harmless others see it as rubbing buttons where wrote half the reputation anything from opportunity to and with any facing legal for the FBI digging into the industry itself feels like a stage play running out of like summer fun and choreographed denials of Jay floats above frantic Jay-Z's roles both ally and benefactor and the question Drake glides like a man holding what happened to be lawyers filed that was the first time in public asked not about hugs on stage does the old empire shatter but behind the charges what does someone say inside his whisper the worst ever one scandal one misveteran said one drives already wrong out could flip the whole generation A-listers are quietly asking attorneys
of coming forward. They've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so yes, it's been a dark secret they've held on to for a very, very long